Hi everybody, it's Ellen Weatherford.
And Christian Weatherford.
And this is Just the Zoo of Us, your favorite animal review podcast, where we rate your favorite animals out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics.
We are not zoological experts, but we try our best to bring the most correct and interesting information we can.
I have some good stuff this week. I'm really excited. I had some fun surprises. I have a couple of quick announcements I'd like to make before we get into the sort of meat and potatoes of the episode. First of all, Max Fun members, a bonus episode went up on Friday. It is called Fact or Faerun with our friend Austin Taylor, who is the host of another Max Fun show called Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries. Austin joined me where I presented them with a series of creatures, given their name and a brief description of the creature, and they had to guess whether this animal is real and belongs to our world or is a monster from Dungeons & Dragons. It was really, really fun. We had a great time, and so if anyone is interested in hearing that, if you're currently a Max Fun member, you can go listen to that right now. If you're not already a Max Fun member and you would like to get access to our bonus content and help support our show, because can't make it without you, head over to MaximumFun.org/join. And my other announcement is that my other podcast relaunched. I have another podcast. It is called Spellbound and Gagged. It was on a year hiatus because we moved across the country and 1,000 things happened to me, so I was unable to make episodes for it for a while. But I finally got back in the saddle. That has relaunched. New episodes are going up every month. It is not safe for work. So if you listen to this episode with, for example, young ears, do not do that with my other show. My other show is quite explicit, but it is really fun. We talk about like weird, creepy, gross, disturbing stuff over on that show. It is so not safe for work that some of the topics that we've done, I literally cannot say. We talked about cool stuff like cordyceps fungus and like poisonous plants with Vikram Baliga, who people who've listened to the show for a long time would recognize his name. We have a lot of fun over there. If that sounds interesting to you and you want to hear me say grown-up words, go do check out that other podcast of mine. Do you have any announcements you'd like to share, Christian?
Nope.
Any cool Pokemon you've caught recently?
I had an attempt on a Moltres.
Yeah, we've been getting back into Pokemon Go after not having played it since 2016.
Yeah.
But it's really fun now, you guys. It's really fun.
Gets me outside, so there's something.
My older son and I have been out and about going on little excursions to play the game pretty much every day since summer break started. And it has been a great way to get out and like see parts of the city that we haven't normally gone out to go see. It's really fun and it's a cool way to get outside. So they don't pay me. This is not an ad. I've just been playing Pokemon Go. I'm excited about it. Oh, can I talk about the cool animal sighting that I had last week when I took Isaac onto that hiking trail? I saw the bird drama.
Oh, yeah.
That was wild. So we were walking down this trail. It's in the woods, and I start to hear all these birds going absolutely nuts. And I'm like, these birds are really mad about something. I mean, there's, the two of us, like, human beings walking down the trail towards them. I figured maybe they were screaming at us because they didn't want us to be there. So I was like, man, they're really, really loud. These birds are going nuts. So I get out my phone to take a video of them, maybe see if I could get an ID on them. They were grosbeaks, by the way, and took a video of all these little birds angrily flying around. I realized they were not looking at me. Like they were not at all interested in me. Like they were flying around close to my head, but they were not looking at me, not registering my presence at all. I was not their concern. I was like, that's so weird. I turn my camera and I see their nest with a barred owl in it. And there is an owl in their nest. And these little birds are just losing it. It was a real circle of life moment. I was like,
This is also middle of the day.
This was like 11:30 in the morning, middle of the day. The audacity of this owl. Like this is not owl times. But I guess that's when we're least expecting it.
Yeah.
So the guard's down.
Well, circle of life, like you said.
You think jewel thieves will start doing robberies in broad daylight because they're like, this is when all the security systems are going to be off.
But they'll just look like tourists or something.
I thought that was a cool observation.
Yeah. not often you come across either an owl during the day, but also that activity.
Right, like actively like
Hunting.
taking babies out of a nest, like
No.
as I'm looking at it. And I swear the owl like locked eyes with me. He looked at me, he's like, what are you gonna do about it? It's like nothing. I'm not trying to get lacerated. So yeah, without further ado, I suppose, let's get into this week's episode. Christian, what animal do you have for us this week?
Today I'll be talking about sand boas.
I'm so excited for this.
Yes. So yeah, I'll be talking about sand boas, and these belong to the genus Eryx, E-R-Y-X.
Like the cooler version of Eric. Like if there was like a young adult protagonist and they're like, well, we can't just name him Eric. How about Eryx with a Y and an X?
Mm-hmm. It's got so many belts. So, and I'll be talking about two species kind of interchangeably here, and that is the Arabian sand boa, which is Eryx jayakari, and the Kenyan sand boa, which is Eryx colubrinus. So those two species were submitted by Madeline, Blake, Ella, and Katie.
Wow. Highly requested.
Yes.
In high demand.
Yes. And I'll be getting my information from a couple different places, including an article titled Ecology of the Sand Boa, Eryx jayakari in Riyadh region of Saudi Arabia, which is by Al-Sadoun and Al-Otaibi, and that was in the Saudi Journal of Biological Sciences in 2014, as well as the IUCN website and the Oakland Zoo website, and a couple things along the way. So first off, the size. I only have the stats for the Kenyan sand boa, and males are up to 15 inches long, or 38 centimeters, and about 2 pounds, just under a kilogram. And females are 26 to 32 inches long, or 66 to 81 centimeters, and up to 3 pounds, or 1.5 kilograms.
Sounds like the females are significantly bigger than the males.
Yeah, which I think this is pretty common.
In reptiles, at least, yeah.
And
Queen.
Yes.
Girl boss. Get them.
And location-wise, perhaps not surprisingly, the Arabian sand boa is found in the Arabian Peninsula and southwest Iran. And the Kenyan sand boa is found in northeastern and eastern Africa.
Can I guess?
Including Kenya,
yes. Let me have that one. But they are boas.
Yeah, they're more related to rubber boas than they are things like boa constrictors.
So boas are typically snakes who kill their prey with constriction. So they wrap around their prey and squeeze it, as opposed to like biting their prey and envenomating it, or, you know, I don't know, wrestling it or something like that. Just the people's elbow or something like
that body part they're known for having.
So these are non-venomous snakes.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next thing. But, well, first let me talk about what they look like. So first, I think most people are familiar with snakes.
Have you heard of them?
So they are long, slender reptiles that do not have legs.
Well, not visible legs.
Not visible legs. Some of them have, what's the term?
Vestigial.
Vestigial. I was about to say residual.
Residual. I mean... Yeah, you get your check in the mail every month for your legs.
Yeah. And it also has an interesting shape because it's meant to move through sand. And it also has interesting eyes and eye placement.
Go ahead. Go on.
Well, so let me just go ahead and get into effectiveness then. So effectiveness is our first category, and it describes physical attributes of the animal, particularly those that help it do what it needs to do in its environment. And I'm giving an 8 out of 10 for the sand boas. However, they are not venomous. I view that as a negative.
Because you could be. Although I don't know, because I think the venom of snakes like developed after the split between like boas and pythons and stuff.
Oh.
So I think maybe they just never had a chance at being venomous. Like,
yeah. Huh. They are nocturnal, and their diet consists of small rodents, reptiles, and arthropods. Now, the eyes. They have eyes on top of their head.
What's happening here? Why could they possibly be like this?
And between the two species, I think it's the Arabian sand boa that looks the goofiest here.
It's something. It is a sight to behold.
Yeah. So the idea here is that they can bury their bodies in the sand, and that placement of their eyes lets them see above the surface of the sand while minimizing the amount of their body that can be seen.
This is a lot like the stargazer. The fish that like burrows under the sand. Same concept. The whole face is sort of like aligned with the top of the head so that they can
Well, in the stargazer's case, the whole face is on that plane that is exposed to the surface, right?
It's quite silly.
Yeah, but with these, it's just their eyes basically, and I guess their nostrils, but it's very alligator of them.
It is. Yeah, it's very much like how hippos or alligators or animals that spend time submerged in the water will have like their important parts.
Sure.
Like their eyes and nostrils, like the parts that need to be out of the water, like those will be arranged at the very, very tippy top so that they can leave the rest of the body hidden.
Yeah.
It's like that, but in the sand instead of the water.
Yeah. Yep.
Which I guess sand is very water-like in many ways. It has so many fluid-like properties.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of info there that could be dug into in terms of like fluid dynamics and such.
The fluid dynamics of sand.
Don't tell Anakin.
I love Dune.
Yeah.
And it looks so silly.
It does look silly. It
looks
kind of looks like
silly.
someone put googly eyes on a worm. But
because like the rest of the snake is also so like unintimidating looking. It's very like rounded and blobby almost. So like you compare that, you just like add the silly looking eyes on top of that, and it's a mess.
Yeah, it doesn't have like the distinct separation between head and body like vipers and pythons do.
It looks like you took Play-Doh and like rolled it between your hands for a few minutes.
Right.
And then put some googly eyes on top of that.
Yep. Now they do give birth to live young, which is unusual for boas in general.
I'm sure that looks great. Just a bunch of tiny snakes coming out of a big snake.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure that's fine.
So they are ectotherms.
What does that mean?
So
what a fancy word.
The common phrase you might hear is cold-blooded. But it's not that the blood itself is cold, at least not all the time. But what it's talking about is it depends on its environment to control the temperature of its body, including its blood.
Ecto meaning outside.
Yes.
Therm meaning temperature.
Yes.
So they rely on outside temperature.
Right. Versus endotherm, I believe, is the opposite.
I'll be talking about that in my segment as well.
Oh, good. Mammals and humans.
And birds.
Right.
Are endotherms.
So they rely on the environment to regulate their body temperature. Whereas, you and I, we have bodily functions that generates heat within our body. Now, this for reptiles is important for lots of things. So, to the extreme, of course, being alive, but also
that is a really important function. You really want to make sure that that one is ticking.
Yeah, but also digestion and other bodily functions require an ideal temperature range to function correctly.
I used to have pet leopard geckos, and I remember when I first got them and I didn't know that much about them, for a while they weren't pooping. Like
Right.
I was feeding them, but they weren't pooping. And I was like, what's going on? I thought I was like doing everything right. I was like, I've got the temperatures right. They've got the light. Like, I don't know what they need. And then I was looking into it and I realized that what they needed was warmth on their belly. They needed an under tank heater, like a heater that like went up under the bottom of the tank to warm up the bottom so that they could press their belly against it, and the warmth on their belly would break down their food and like move their digestion along. So they weren't digesting their food because their belly wasn't warm enough.
Right.
So the warmth was like helping them break down their food, and then they pooped and they were fine. So they just needed the warmth from below. I wasn't thinking about that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now in the wild, of course, this would be just from, a rock that had been sitting in the sun for all day.
Yeah,
right?
or warm sand, like
yeah.
they
But
wouldn't
that's
have
maybe
access to that.
that's maybe a little more difficult to achieve in a small terrarium with a light bulb type heater.
Yeah, where the bottom of it was like up like on a table, right?
Right.
There wasn't a lot of warmth coming from below.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting way for me to remember, like, oh yeah, they need warmth for more than just like staying alive.
Yep. Now, the pro of this kind of setup, so that gives them a slower metabolism because they're not having to expend calories to generate heat, right? That means less energy that needs to be expended and therefore less energy that needs to be brought in. So they don't eat very often. And of course, the size of the thing they eat depends on the size of the snake. So a smaller snake like this versus something like an anaconda are going to eat very different sized prey. From what I understand, the larger the snake, the less often it has to eat because it's just taking in larger meals that take a while to digest.
Yeah, if you've got like a really big snake or something, you could probably get away with feeding it every like few weeks or a month or so.
Yeah. So that's cool. Now the con, though, is that they are heavily affected by cold weather.
Yeah.
So that limits the range of most snakes, or the snake needs to be able to do something like hibernate during the winter. In our area, that's a big thing for the garter snakes. So we don't see the snakes during the winter at all.
We saw none,
Right.
0 snakes.
And actually, I haven't seen any live snakes yet with the warm weather. I know they're there. I just haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, we really don't see a lot of snakes around here.
We saw a handful last summer when we moved here.
To Washington, by the way, I should say.
Yes. And then this side of the Cascades, I think that's the only kind of snake we can expect to see here.
Yeah. And back in Florida, we saw snakes all the time.
Right.
Every kind of snake. We saw them all the time.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Right. Because, I mean, for them, I mean, they'll probably be less active during the winter in Florida, but, you know, they're still around.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that these snakes live in pretty warm areas.
Yeah. So these are like, you know, Saudi Arabia, northeastern Africa, very warm areas.
Mm.
The next thing I want to talk about, like most reptiles and snakes, they shed their skin. The question comes up, why? Why do they do it this way? So first of all, the question of why do they shed their skin, a better way of looking at it is all living things that have skin shed their skin.
I don't like that you turned this around on me. Why am I in this? I'm an innocent bystander.
But here's the difference, though. Humans and mammals will shed skin constantly, like at the cellular level, right?
We're microdosing skin shedding.
So, you know, in a house, a big percentage of what we call dust is actually
Don't.
Dead skin cells.
Nope. Gross. Nasty.
So we're shedding them constantly. And I think this is where that statement about like, oh, all of your skin cells are rotated out every XYZ days.
Oh, sure.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh. Now.
So it's not that you drop all of your skin every 28 days. It's just, it's more of a ship of Theseus.
I was thinking in my head, it's the skin of Theseus. I was going to say it.
Yeah. So where after eventually, you know, all of the skin cells have rotated.
And then you're a new person.
Right. So same thing with snakes. But however, for them, instead of, you know, at the cellular level constantly, it's like a full outer layer at a time.
They just store it all up.
Well, the difference is the kind of the anatomy of their skin. So mammal skin is very elastic and it will stretch as we grow. Snake skin does not. So it's more similar, I think, in like a crustacean to where, you know, their outer shell, once hardened, does not grow with them.
Right.
So they have to shed that shell and then generate a new one, right? Now, the way the crustaceans do that, it leaves them very vulnerable during that in-between period between when they molt and when their new shell grows in and hardens.
There's an episode of SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs molts and he's like running around naked.
Zoidberg does it very often.
Oh, yeah, like way too much.
So, yeah, the reptiles will shed much larger chunks of skin.
It kind of makes sense because they're covered in harder structures than our skin. Like they've got scales and like hard surfaces that aren't going to be very stretchy.
And they're slithering around on their bellies.
That's true.
They're pretty dependent on the strength of their skin. Now, doing it this way also helps them get rid of parasites that might be on their skin. Now, this can go wrong. Bad sheds can cause problems for snakes.
For sure, yeah.
So another thing to note about their anatomy is snakes don't have eyelids like we do.
Right, yeah.
They have a layer of transparent skin over their eyes. Now that too has to shed when they shed their skin. So if they have a bad shed where pieces aren't coming off, or specifically the eye caps get stuck.
I've seen this.
Yeah. It can cause blindness.
I've seen a lot of videos like on TikTok and stuff of vets assisting with sheds basically,
Right.
and they'll peel that eye cap off where like you can see it's kind of getting crusty over their eyes, and they peel the eye cap off, and it feels like a pimple popping video because part of you is like, ew, gross, but another part of you is like, oh yeah.
Well, but when I see it done like on geckos and things, there's a moment where I was like, oh my God, did he just pull out his whole eye? And I was like, oh wait, no, okay.
Yeah. It does look like that.
Yeah.
But that little eye is just fine in there. So I know. I love videos like that. They make me feel such complicated emotions. I wish I could shed my skin.
Now, humans do something like this when we have specific kinds of injuries. Classic one is a sunburn.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Where, you know, a large section of the whole layer of skin gets damaged and has to be replaced. But
even that flakes off. It doesn't come off in a solid sheet.
I've gotten some big chunks before in my time. So for the listener, I am very light complexion, and have lived most of my life in Florida. I've had my
horrible
fair share.
Combination.
Yeah, I've had my fair share of sunburns, unfortunately. But yeah, it can vary, I find.
I wonder if the reason why so many people find it so deeply satisfying to let, like, when you're a kid, you get a bunch of glue on your fingers and then you let it dry and then you peel it off in a layer. I wonder if that's some, like, ancient reptilian part of the brain that just yearns to shed its skin. Like,
nostalgia that spans millennia.
It's evolutionary nostalgia that's like, oh yes, must shed cuticle.
These were the good days.
I wish to return to the rock.
Now here's a little something interesting about how that shed works. That process starts off by generating a layer of lymph fluid between the old and new layers of skin. That's a process called ecdysis, which gives them a blue hue and milky eyes.
Oh, this is why they start to look kind of like cloudy.
Yeah.
Like when you know they're about to shed, because they start to look kind of...
Their color is dull. Mm-hmm. They kind of take a blue hue depending on what their normal color is.
Yeah. Then, you can tell. Yeah. Like, you're like, oh, this baby needs to shed.
Yeah. So that's how they start it. It's basically separating the old layer from the new. And then what they'll do is they'll start at their nose, like by rubbing up against something in their tank or wherever they live, to start the shedding process. And then you can literally imagine it like taking off a tube sock. that when you're done doing that, it's now inside out.
Gross.
So again, if that goes wrong, it causes problems for the snake, including like if it causes like a restriction somewhere in its body, it can cause blood flow issues and even death in some situations.
This is introducing so many potential problems.
Yeah. So this happens in captivity almost like very commonly because of problems with humidity levels and where they're being kept. So I think, I was doing a little research on this. For example, like ball pythons, for example, require a tank humidity of something like 75-80%.
Yeah, they like it nice and moist.
Yeah. So if you ever think about keeping a snake, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot to do with temperature, humidity, having stuff in the tank that helps them shed in the first place, but also nothing that will hurt them. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that goes into it. And that information that I just mentioned came from the Crossrigs Veterinary Clinic in the UK. And to kind of wrap us up in the other categories here, we got ingenuity, which talks about how smart they are. I didn't find much. I think the fact that they know to get under the sand to like hide and protect themselves, that's pretty smart.
I mean, in a desert, literally what else is there? Like,
I mean, you got some choices. You got sand, you got cactus.
I don't think they have cactuses in Africa.
Right. I guess I was meant more just desert in general, but
not in these deserts.
Yeah,
I mean,
so.
there's some vegetation there, just not cactuses.
Are cactuses only in the Americas?
Yes.
Really?
Yep. You know what? I think there's like one species of cactus that can be found in Africa.
Huh.
All of the other cactuses are only found natively in the Americas.
Huh. Didn't know that.
Cool, right?
It is cool. So yeah, that's the only thing I really had for them. I guess it's a 7 out of 10.
That's generous. You look in those eyes and you tell me there's a single thing happening behind them.
They can see everything to the left and right at the same time.
But like, what are they processing, right? Like they can see everything, but I mean, what information are they gathering from that?
I don't know. And then finally for aesthetics, which is how cool or cute they are. I'm giving it 8 out of 10. I find them cute. They're goofy, but I think they're cute.
They're so silly. They're so ridiculous.
They're, as far as snakes go, pretty friend-shaped.
I feel like this is a soft ask if you're typically afraid of snakes.
Yeah.
Like if you're kind of like normally leaning towards being afraid of snakes, this is a good one to ease that anxiety a little bit, because what is he going to do to you? Nothing.
Now, I once had a ball python as a child.
What was the ball python's name?
Dumbledore. I know. Doesn't make sense. I was like 11 or so.
As far as like 11-year-old pet names go, that one's not bad at all. Right.
Now, when I got that snake, one of the things I had asked the pet store employee was, will this snake bite me? And something what that person said to me, I'll never forget, said, anything with a mouth can bite you.
Yes, they will try. They certainly will.
So while it might be a species that is less known for being aggressive and bitey, it can still happen.
Not none. Your chances are low, but not zero.
I never got bit by the snake. Like, I think it tried to strike once or twice, but it never actually landed. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
I feel like if a sand boa tried to bite me, I'd be like, good for you. You get them.
Stand it up for yourself. So sand boas are, they are pets sometimes, and they can be obtained legally for pet purposes. I would just recommend looking into ethical sources for that.
Do your research, please. Yeah. Don't buy from sketchy people.
Yeah.
Don't get your sand boa off of Temu.
Which?
Okay, the sand boa looks like...
Go ahead.
The sand boa looks like if you ordered a normal snake off of Wish.
Oh.
You ordered a ball python on Wish and you got a sand boa.
Oh, poor thing.
I know, I'm being so mean.
And then finally, conservation status. Luckily, both of those species are least concern.
Oh, they're doing good.
Yeah.
Deserts seem like a good place for a snake to be. Mm-hmm. Also, maybe not an area that is as exploited for resources and development as like other types of habitats.
Yeah, and they can be taken for the pet trade, but it's not at a level where it's harming their population.
Well, with animals that live in more like, forested areas or something, you see like deforestation and logging and agriculture and stuff. But if you live in a desert, like what are they? There's no de-desertification.
I mean, I'm sure there are awful things that can happen, but it's not going to happen because someone's trying to build like crops or whatever.
Right. Maybe. Yeah. It's a little bit of a harsh environment. Yeah. But that's kind of, animals adapt to harsh environments like that in the first place for that reason. Right. They're like, I will, obviously, evolution is not an intentional like choice, but the pressure is selecting towards like, oh, if I can thrive in an area that is really hostile and nobody else can survive here, mm-hmm. I'm going to do pretty well. Like if I can make it here, nobody else is going to compete with me.
Yeah. It's that, being very well adapted for a low demand environment, but that also causes problems when sudden changes happen.
Yeah.
So,
because then you're going to be a little bit less adaptable to like other situations. It's like, I'm really, really good at living in the deserts, but then like you mentioned, like humidity might become a problem. Mm. So if they had to go somewhere that was more humid, they might, have problems with shedding. And yeah, it can be very, very helpful to get you like away from human activity, I guess, because if you can live in harsh environments humans aren't inclined to live, then you are going to do pretty good that way.
A good example are the invasive snakes in the Everglades. The only thing keeping those snakes in the Everglades and not coming further north is just the slightly harsher winters. And
like it freezes like twice a year, like in like northern Florida. Right. And it's funny because you're seeing like over time as average temperatures are climbing, if the Florida winters lose that like annual freeze, they can usually rely on like a couple of freezes per year in the winter. If there's like a particularly warm winter that like it doesn't freeze and it doesn't get that cold, the snakes will be free. Like it's like that sort of like freeze line in northern Florida is what's keeping the like 20-foot Burmese pythons sequestered into South Florida.
It's the opposite of the ice wall in Game of Thrones.
Where if that wall comes down, you're in for a bad time. Well, thank you. I like this little snake, and I appreciate the snake info.
Yeah, and for the listener, I know this was pretty light on species-specific info, so I decided to kind of lean into the more general info that we don't really get a chance to dive into about snakes and reptiles.
That's true, yeah. I think sometimes we get kind of laser-focused and don't necessarily zoom out to talk about the more general like information about stuff. So yeah, it's good. It's good to have a little primer on snakes, I think. Plus, it's like a lot of this stuff is stuff that you think, okay, maybe everybody knows that like snakes shed their skin, but you don't think about why or what can happen, what can go wrong. Like I think it's good to like dive into the details behind more like common knowledge stuff. Be like, okay, but here's more about how this works.
Also, a bonus: if you wanted to see a mammal that does more snake-like shedding,
I don't think I want to see that.
Seals.
I've heard beluga whales do something like this too.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that.
Well, listener, if you want to see that, just Google seal shedding, I guess.
Pretend I do not see it. Oops. Well, thank you, Christian. That was great. Let's take a quick break to hear from our friends on the Maximum Fun Network, and then we'll get to my animal.
All right.
Hello, podcast recommendation service.
Hello there, young man. I'm looking for a new podcast to listen to. Something amusing, perhaps.
Oh, what about Beef and Dairy Network?
Something surreal and satirical.
Well, I would suggest Beef and Dairy Network.
Ideally, it would be a spoof industry podcast for the beef and dairy industries.
Yes, Beef and Dairy Network.
Maybe it would have brilliant guests such as Josie Long, Heather Ann Campbell, Nick Offerman, and the actor Ted Danson.
Beef and Dairy Network.
I don't know. I think I'm going to stick to Joe Rogan.
The Beef and Dairy Network podcast is a multi-award-winning comedy podcast, and you can find it at MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
Somewhere in an alternate universe where Hollywood is smarter.
And the Emmy nominees for Outstanding Comedy Series are Jetpackula, Airport Marriott, Thruple, Dear America, We've Seen You Naked, and Allah in the Family.
In our stupid universe, you can't see any of these shows, but you can listen to them on Dead Pilot Society, the podcast that brings you hilarious comedy pilots that the networks and streamers bought but never made. Journey to the alternate television universe of Dead Pilot Society on MaximumFun.org.
All right. So, what do you got for us, Alan?
This week, I'm talking about the black-capped chickadee.
Oh.
Scientific name, Piscally atricapillus.
Wow.
And also, if you are the kind soul who put together a series of web pages containing pronunciation guides to scientific names, and it's literally just a giant list of like scientific names of different birds and stuff with like, I saw one for like birds, beetles, like all these different pages of scientific name pronunciations. If you are that person that made that, can I please like send you fan mail or something? Like thank you so much from me personally. That's amazing. Huge win for me. This species was submitted by Liz Pine. And Liz mentioned that they're a newer listener. So thank you for joining this journey with us.
Yeah.
And this was a great request because this is certainly a bird that we are new to, being new to the north. They're not found where we come from. So this is a newer bird for us, but also is one of those little songbirds that like you tend to kind of be like, yeah, okay, I see them everywhere. They're pretty common. You know, I think that the commonness of them could trick you into thinking that they are boring. They are not. There's a lot of crazy stuff in here about them. I'm getting my information from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology's website, allaboutbirds.org, as well as the Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute website, and studies that I'll cite as they come up. These are tiny little birds. They're only 4 to 6 inches long with a wingspan of 6 to 8 inches, which is about 15 to 20 centimeters for metric listeners. And they weigh less than half of an ounce, which is 14 grams.
Little.
They're so little. They are very round, very spherical shaped, with cartoonishly short little pointy beaks.
Oh.
Like Tweety Bird, you know, such tiny little itty bitty, like such a look. If you were to draw a little cartoon of a bird, that's what they would look like.
Okay.
They have mostly gray feathers with a characteristic black cap marking, where they have a black little marking around their head. These birds are found in the northern United States and southern Canada. There are other types of chickadees that are found outside of that range. I think maybe where we came from in Florida, there may have been Carolina chickadees, but this species is only found up in the north, so they do live here. I've been hearing them around a lot as I've been going for walks and stuff. Now for effectiveness, I am giving black-capped chickadees an 8 out of 10. So in kind of stark contrast to the sand boa, which has had to adapt to warm, dry climates, these birds have some really interesting adaptations for surviving cold, because in the range where they live in, the winters get really, really cold. It gets really harsh, and they have to survive very, very low temperatures, which can be pretty challenging because these are tiny little birds with fast metabolisms. Like they have to be kind of eating constantly. They have to maintain a body temperature. In contrast to snakes, they are endotherms. So they do have to maintain an internal body temperature. And their internal body temperature usually stays at around 107.6 degrees.
Wow.
Yes. And they just have a very fast metabolism. They have like a lot of energy output. So they can actually conserve energy during the wintertime by lowering their body temperature at night. So they actually go into a state of like induced hypothermia, where they can lower their body temperature all the way down to about 82 degrees.
Wow.
Which is like almost a 30-degree difference between like daytime and nighttime body temperature. Which I think is really interesting. Like imagine if we just got hypothermia every night just
I wish. Gosh. That sounds nice for some reason.
No, we do like our room pretty nice and chilly. We keep ours pretty cold. So I like that crisp, cold, sleepy air.
Yeah.
But also, okay, so I mentioned how they have this sort of spherical shape, right? They have really, really fluffy feathers that give them a shape commonly referred to as a borb.
A what?
A borb. It's you know what a borb is, right?
I think I can figure it out.
This is like internet like slang, I guess, but it's also like a pretty useful like term for describing like a bird with this sort of like round circular like spherical shape. But there's an actual reason for that. There's a reason for the borb shape. So a spherical shape lowers their volume to surface area ratio. Yep. And it means that they're not losing as much heat to the outside air. So that's why there are borbs. Is because like being a sphere is really great for conserving heat, like keeping your heat trapped in your body.
This has come up before.
Probably. I mean, it's a similar like concept to why, you know, animals that live in colder climates tend to, you know, be chunkier. They tend to be like rounder, right? It's because like having a higher ratio of like volume to surface area is better for retaining heat because you're not exposing as much of your body to the air. So you're not losing as much heat to the outside.
This is going to drive me crazy until I remember what specifically we talked about this for.
I'm sure.
Oh, well.
Babe, it's what, 240 something episodes? There's no way I'm going to remember.
It's going to hit me at 11:30 p.m.
Please don't wake me up to tell me about it. I'll be so mad. So they're pretty good at living where they live. I think it's pretty cool to see like adaptations for a small, high metabolism animal to live in a very harsh, cold climate. So that's pretty cool. For ingenuity, this is where I think the black-capped chickadee shines. I'm giving them a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
And maybe not in like ways that we would maybe traditionally think of as being particularly intelligent, but this is wild. Okay, so in order to survive these really harsh winters, chickadees have to store food for later in hiding spots called caches. So just the way that like a squirrel will like bury an acorn or something like that and save it for later. This is called caching. Now, since these birds need a lot of food to maintain their really high metabolism, so they have to do a lot of caching. This means that the chickadee may have thousands of food caches at any given time. They could have thousands of little hiding spots. And this could be, you know, like maybe they're hidden underneath like some pine needles or like in a little crack in a tree or something like that. They have little hiding spots. It's nothing super fancy, but they do actually like put the food there and then cover it in some way with like a branch or a twig or leaves or something like that. Now, the tricky part of all this is retrieving the cached food. Because you don't have to... Okay, putting it away is the easy part. Getting it back out is the hard part. Because now you have to remember where you put everything.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yes. So chickadees are able to remember the locations, contents, and time that they stored all of these thousands and thousands of caches for up to a month after storing them.
Wow.
So they have a little database in their tiny, tiny, itty bitty little brain that is keeping track of like where they stored it, when they stored it, what they stored. Like they know where everything is, and it's thousands of little like drops of food all over the place. They're the geocaching world champions. Now, in order to perform what I consider to be some of nature's most sophisticated inventory management, chickadee brains have some wild adaptations. So first of all, During the fall, when chickadees have to start storing their food because the winter's coming, their hippocampus, which is the part of their brain that stores memory, like same for humans, like most memory is kind of stored in the hippocampus. Their hippocampus can grow by up to 30%, which allows them more brain space to store more memories. So the memory center of their brain actually like physically increases in size, like grows more brain. But temporary, it's like a seasonal brain growth. Like their brain gets bigger in the fall so that they can remember where they're putting all their stuff. And then these neurons last for a few months before dying back off again, which lets them periodically free up memory space to learn new things. So like every few months, they're just like purging their memories so that next fall they can learn a bunch of new ones.
The key to data retention cycles is to get rid of the data eventually.
Yeah, you need to be on a, you don't want all those old files sitting around clogging up your system. You gotta purge your hard drive every once in a while. But also, like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could go through my brain and delete stuff.
No, I need that manual of the lawnmower I had 10 years ago.
No, I need the lyrics to Ice Ice Baby. So I think that is really, really cool. That is from a paper called Seasonal Recruitment of Hippocampal Neurons in Adult Free-Ranging Black-Capped Chickadees. That was by A. Barnea and F. Nottabaum in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in November of 1994. Now, another interesting thing about their brains is that when storing food in a cache, neurons in the chickadee's hippocampus fire off in a very specific and unique pattern. So when the chickadee goes to store food, they put the food away, it's like their brain flashes the signal. All of the neurons fire in this specific signal going, okay, boop, that's where we put this. When they go back and get the food out of that same cache, the brain flashes that exact same signal again.
Oh.
Like it's the exact same signal that it did when they put the food there. So it's like the brain going, boop, again. Like the exact same signal as when they put it in, but it's unique to that particular instance. So what their brain is doing is kind of generating a barcode. For every single time that they store something, it like scans it out. When they take it out, they scan it back in. It's like a library like checkout process. Like they're checking in their inventory.
Oh.
It is so interesting. That they're like, and this was kind of different from how they expected their brains to work. They expected all of this information to be stored in something called place cells. This gets into brain science stuff that's a little bit over my understanding level.
Sure.
But if you do happen to know brain science stuff and you want to read this paper, because I think it's really cool, it's called Barcoding of Episodic Memories in the Hippocampus of a Food Caching Bird. That was by Selman and Chetty et al. In Cell in April of 2024. So that was like 3 months ago that paper came out. But I think it's really cool that like when they're storing all of this stuff, they're basically like scanning it. Like their brain is like acting like a little scanner, like boop, boop, boop. Like that's so cool to me.
Yeah, when you were describing it, I was thinking of it as like a phone taking a screenshot of something.
Yeah. It is kind of like that. I think that's so cool. But it's also encoding information about like timing and contents and location. Like it's this little barcode that contains like a lot of very specific information that is getting stored in their brain. And it must be in a really efficient way because this is a tiny bird. They don't have a ton of space. They have to be putting a lot of information into a tiny little area. So it must be a pretty efficient process.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Plus, I'm sure, deleting their hard drive every couple of months and doing a good old factory reset. I wish I could factory reset my brain every few months. I wish once a year I could just do a little wipe.
Imagine all the shows you could watch for the first time again.
Oh, what I wouldn't give. Oh, man, to play like Breath of the Wild for the first time again. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Now, another thing about their sort of behavior is that chickadees live in flocks and they have social hierarchies within their flocks, including separate hierarchies for males and females. So like the males have their hierarchy, the females have their hierarchy, all in the same flock, which can be really interesting. They have a literal pecking order because they do peck each other to maintain it, to enforce it. Now, I found a couple of funny little quotes, and the first one is from the National Zoo website, so I take their word for it. They say, subordinate chickadees tend to forage in the outermost parts of trees, making them most vulnerable to predators, and are braver about approaching or exploring new situations. Which to me sounds like the red shirts from Star Trek. Like these are some expendable extras that we had lying around. We'll send them down onto the alien planet to go see if anything's going to kill us immediately.
And they're happy to do it.
Like having like the like lower ranking ones in the more dangerous situation is that's very funny to me. What if they're choosing to do that themselves? They're like, I'm sick of y'all for real. Like, I'm gonna go play the field. I'm gonna see what my options are. I'm getting out of here. Forget y'all. Now this quote, I'm gonna be real with y'all. This is from Wikipedia, so like I don't know. Take this with a grain of salt, but I thought it was funny. Quote, another survey, though, showed that male chickadees sometimes intentionally match the tones of competing chickadees as a way of showing aggression. Which is like when someone you don't like says something and you just like make fun of them by saying it in a stupid voice.
Yeah. It's the SpongeBob meme.
Ooh, I'm Christian.
Okay, but what if you got one of these birds in an echo chamber?
Play it back for itself.
It thinks it's talking to a different bird, but it's just in an infinite loop with itself.
Oh, very, very good. I love psychologically torturing chickadees. Now, so chickadees do have a very complex and sophisticated language of vocalizations. So they have a wide variety of different sounds that they can make, and these sounds mean something specific to like the other birds in their flock. So they can convey a pretty good deal of information to each other, including the one that they're known for, which is the chickadee call. So chickadees are named onomatopoetically.
Okay.
The name is an onomatopoeia, which means that the name is a word that is made to mimic an actual sound.
Now, how close is it? Because I feel like I've heard these kind of bird onomatopoeias.
Some of them are silly. Yeah, some of them miss the mark a little bit. This one's pretty good, I feel like, because the sound is where I'm going to like play an actual recording of it, but just because I can't do that right now, it's you and me talking.
Everyone will hear it but me.
I know. You will know it if you heard it. You've heard the sound before.
Oh, okay.
But it's a sound where they're going chickadee dee 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 dee. Like that kind of sound. Now, this call can mean a lot of different things, but one of the ways that it is used is as an alarm call. And often you can tell if a flock is scared of something by how many D's you hear at the end, where if they go like chickadee dee dee, that's probably not like, they might just be chattering to each other. It's not that big a deal. But if like chickadee dee 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 dee, that means like there's a cat or something like that, like an owl or a hawk or something. That's like they're upset about something. Yeah, which is funny because like they can change their call to mean something different, right? They can add emphasis to it, but only to a particular type. It's not that you're repeating the whole call. There's one part of it that signifies danger that they can add for emphasis, which I think is an interesting like syntax that they can use. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I can change this part of the call to mean something different.
Yeah.
Or to mean more of it, right? Like it's just the same thing, but more.
Right.
Like, I think that's an interesting little tool of language that they can use.
They're working with what they got.
Yeah. For aesthetics, I'm giving them an 8 out of 10. They're pretty cute. I would like to see a little more color. Like, this is just a little, gray and black and white little bird. I like to see a little color in my birds. So, like, I would like to see a little more with that. But I will say they do sleep in the cutest possible position, which is with their little beak tucked underneath their wing.
Oh, love this.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so glad. More birds should do this. This is awesome.
Many do.
I love it. It's my favorite. But they're very cute. Like, they're very spherical, and I like that. Their conservation status is of least concern. They're doing quite well numbers-wise, but there is something interesting that could be sort of looming on the horizon as a growing threat for them. In the 1990s, black-capped chickadees in Alaska started to grow abnormally long, curved, twisted beaks. Like fingernails, long overgrown. Like they were just long and twisted and they kind of curved past each other. And this is harmful to the birds since they need their beaks for things like feeding and preening their feathers, grooming themselves. Now, these beak deformities are a symptom of something called avian keratin disorder.
Right.
And then all these chickadees in Alaska started to pop up with these weird beaks. And it was enough that people were like, hey, what's going on here? Like, why are all of a sudden all of these chickadees have like weird beaks? And then you started to see it outside of Alaska into the continental United States and into Asia and into Europe even. And then you start to see it in more birds. You see it in crows and woodpeckers. And like, you just start to see a lot more. This is something that's like growing. This is something that it's not the sort of thing that like was there all along and nobody noticed. It was like new. Like it started in like the 90s and it slowly spread. So research in 2016 on extracted DNA from affected birds revealed a pretty strong lead, which is a virus that has now been named Piscivirus, which is actually named after the black-capped chickadees genus.
Oh.
Piscily. So they got their own virus, which that sucks. You never want to have a virus named after you. That's never fun.
Yeah.
It's like the Ebola virus. It was like named after like a river.
Was it?
Yeah.
Huh.
The Ebola River. I think
Okay.
Ebola means river, like in the local language where it's from.
Hmm.
And so now like you can't talk about that river without it being associated with a virus. Like you never like that. So there's still a lot that scientists do not know about avian keratin disorder, but everyday bird watchers can actually help. If you do see a bird with an unusually long curved beak, you can report your sighting to the USGS Alaska Science Center. They have an online form that you can fill out describing your observation. Yeah, I will provide a link to it in the episode description. On the off chance that anybody listening has seen a bird with a really weird beak, like an abnormal beak, please do report that because research into it is ongoing. And they want to know, how this is spreading, if this could be affecting the birds in any other ways, like what's going on with this keratin disorder. A lot of people don't think about like pathogens and pandemics, right, in animals that aren't humans, because this doesn't seem to affect humans in any way. But yet.
People start caring when it becomes capable to cross over into humans or affects things like crops and things.
Right. Well, since this is a keratin disorder, if this was to switch over to humans, I guess it would affect our like hair and fingernails.
So I was wondering, does this affect anything else on the bird other than its beak? Like
I only
maybe
know of its beak.
Claws or its feathers, perhaps.
Yeah, I only know of the beak.
Huh.
But, it's really bad when it happens to their beak. So.
Yeah.
I guess if it was to cross over into humans, it wouldn't be as much of like a dire emergency. Like it might just be like a problem with your nails or your hair, maybe. But still, yeah, I thought that was just a little touch of body horror.
Yeah, a little bit.
So yeah, I think the black-capped chickadee was full of surprises for me. There was a lot of things. This was a trust the process moment because when I was going through the requests and stuff, I saw one for the black-capped chickadee and I thought, you know what? This is a bird. You see it all the time. They don't particularly like grab your attention, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a little cursory searching, see if anything will come up. And I started looking them up and I was like, whoa! It was nuts! So I'm glad I got to learn all that. Thank you for requesting those, Liz. That was great.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening, all of our friends. This has been a lovely time. I hope you had a good time. If you liked what you heard today, please do leave behind a good review in your podcast app of choice. We really like seeing those, like the one left by Hayungski, who said, I love learning about animals, and if you're like that too, then this is the podcast you need to check out. Love it. That's very nice. Thank you for saying that. I do appreciate that very much.
Can I just say, anytime I'm doing notes and I need a little bit of a oomph to get me going, I'll go out there looking for reviews. Aw,
I'm glad. Yeah, it is a nice little pick-me-up.
Yeah.
Also, if you're on like social media, if you're on like TikTok or Instagram or anything like that, post something about the show. I would love that. If you post something you learned on the show or maybe something you thought was funny or drop a little something on social media. If you tag me in it, I will share it, repost it, whatever is applicable to the platform. But yeah, tag me in it or, use an applicable hashtag or something like that. And I will share that because I really like to see those. So
especially the memes.
I love a good meme. We would like to thank Maximum Fun for having us on their network alongside the other amazing shows that you heard promos for earlier today. If you want to go check those out, learn more about how you can support our show, keep us going, and get access to that really sweet bonus content I told you about earlier, head over to MaximumFun.org. Finally, we would like to thank Louis Zong for our theme music, which is the song of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's great that the song of the summer is something that can only be accessed on our podcast. That does not exist anywhere else. That works out great for me.
Plan is working.
Yes. Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Maximum Fun.
A worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.